Hi, my name is Katie, and this is my integrated science and math lesson plan. This is for a second grade class, and I wanted to center it around the theme of pumpkins because Halloween is coming up and students do see pumpkins all over, so I wanted to bring that into the classroom. Some of my standards include classifying different characteristics, seeing what items best fit the situation, talking about changes after heating and cooling, um, students determining if things are even or odd, numbered, and using different tools for measurements, estimating measurements, and then later comparing those measurements and then graphing their data, which is down here. Out of that, I came up with a lesson objective. Students will understand the life cycle of a pumpkin, be able to collect data and organize it into a graph, and take measurements, then later converting them into other units. So these are things that I want them to be able to do after we finish this lesson, and they should be able to do it with the activities that go after this. To introduce the lesson, I'll probably bring in a miniature pumpkin and talk about the process that it goes through to get to this point. First it starts as a seed, and a farmer has to take care of all this stuff. And then this will lead into our first activity, which is we're going to make a life cycle of a pumpkin. They're going to color the different stages of life, and then we're going to put it along a string onto an orange plate that looks like a pumpkin, and then later they can refer back to this as needed. This will help them understand, things go through change, and they have to grow to get to a certain point. And then after that, I planned that for measurements, they'll be making pumpkin pancakes. Now, this is a through in the through section because it does require a lot of supervision with the heat and cooking of the pancakes, so I'll be handling that. But the students will need to be taking the measurements, and this is kind of an informal way of seeing if the students are understanding how to take certain measurements. And we'll also talk about different ways to change the unit, such as cups or tablespoons, how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon, things of that nature. And so I feel like this is a good practice for the next step, which is the beyond. The students can bring a pumpkin to school, and we're going to get into groups, and we're going to take different measurements of this pumpkin. And this is the form that I created so that it makes it pretty easy for them to um, collect the information and have it in one central spot. These are the things that I would like them to find and then later convert, going back to some of the standards I mentioned earlier. They're making predictions, and then they're converting the actual measurements of the size of the pumpkin, the circumference, the width, the weight, and things of that nature. And I also included a picture of the pumpkin because I thought that that was essential in them if they ever want to go back and look at it later and compare their pumpkin to other pumpkins. And then after, they're going to graph all the information and data that they collected from the group, so that they had multiple different pumpkins to compare and decide which one was the biggest or heaviest, or categorize them in that nature. And then later, for the homework or assignments afterwards, I would like my students to go online. There is a special simulation website that I found, and it was pretty interesting. You could carve your own pumpkin, and I thought this was a great tool because I don't think bringing a pumpkin into class and carving it and having the students have knives would be allowed because of a safety risk. So I thought this would be a good way for them to do this, even if parents were low income and couldn't afford to buy a pumpkin. I thought this was a good supplement using technology. So my assessments would be to have them take a quiz about converting between different measurements, which they've practiced a lot in these activities. And then just for the informal, just me being able to observe if they were doing correct measurements for the pancakes, or correctly measuring the pumpkin's units. So overall, it's a pumpkin unit with measurements and um, the different life cycle and converting. So I hope this uh, is useful in your classroom.